examine the reasons why we left the congregations that we did, we may find that we did so more out of rebellion than a pursuit of righteousness. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah. Day number 4 of Torah portion Qorach. As we examine this man and his doctrines, his agenda, it begins to become uncomfortable, uneasy for ourselves. Maybe we have some things going on that we need to deal with that are now being revealed by the Torah, having been disguised and laying just under the surface. Rav Shaul correctly wrote about the Torah, saying that it reveals sin. While you and I would like to say that we would have stood in the company of Moshe and Aaron with men like Caleb and Yehoshua, it's also likely that we would have stood in the ranks of 250 rebels, listening to the doctrinal preaching of Qorach. Would we have become convinced? Two men that are central to this issue and to this narrative are Dathan and Abiram. They, Reubenites, believed that they had been wrongly displaced by Yehudah. They were seeking prominence. They wanted to get back what rightfully belonged to them. Right now, our streets are filled with those who are violently looking for appeasement, for some sense of justice and satisfaction. Some are there out of a righteous cause, a look to end racial inequality. They're there to deal with violence that is unnecessary. It's a cry for help. It's a cry for justice. That I can understand. However, we find that it's also being usurped by those who have an insidious agenda of violence and anarchy and chaos. They don't care anything about some man's color of skin, whatever plights that they may have been abused and neglected in the past. They're angry. They're bought off. They're trying to make trouble. They're trying to have a turn of events that has nothing to do with the issue at hand. So it was in Moshe's day. There were those that were upset. There were those that were genuinely feeling slighted. But then there were those that were pushing an agenda with the end result hopes of gaining a place of prestige and power for themselves. Dathan and Abiram were such men. Moshe summons them and says, "Come up here, we need to talk." And they refused, and they made the most ludicrous of accusations. They said that Moshe had convinced them to leave the land that was flowing with milk and honey, talking about Mitzrayim, and to pursue another land that is promised to be flowing with milk and honey. They said to Moshe, "You have not brought us up into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Would you bore out the eyes of these men? We are not coming up." They're angry. They're accusational. They're badly misinformed. Had they so quickly forgotten the chains, the whips, and the slavery of Mitzrayim? A land flowing with milk and honey? Really? 1 year changed their opinion? They were glad to be delivered and thankful that Yah had set them free. Now they were on their way to a land of inheritance, but it was their own evil deeds and their own weeping and wailing and accusations and slanders that had angered Yah to the place where Yah says, "You'll die and be buried in this wilderness. I'll give your inheritance to your children." We will not come up. What are you going to do? Bore people's eyes out, Moshe? Moshe, the meekest man who had ever lived, a man that would endure and put up with almost anything, a man of great strength, but having that strength under control, demonstrates his meekness even in the place of great wrath and anger. And he angrily cries out to Yah, do not listen to them. Do not accept their offerings. I have not taken a donkey from them. I have not wronged any of them. I'm innocent in this. And he stomps away. Who can blame him? And so now this doctrine that says we're not getting what we're promised, and it's all Moshe's fault. Maybe they believed that Moshe and Aaron had some secret means of communicating with Yahweh that they were not sharing with everybody else. And that gave them an ability and a power that no one else was able to lay hold of. You're holding out on us, Moshe. You're not letting us in on the end game. You're not letting us in on the power play that is available to us. There are those that are in the Hebraic roots community even now that would complain and say, we left the congregations where we were well satisfied and things were okay. Doctrinally, we had some questions, but at least we had fellowship. At least we had fellowship. So we're willing to trade doctrinal error, and we're willing to trade other issues, a neglect of the Torah, a disallowing of the Torah, replacement theology, rendering Israel and the Jews to judgment, and we'll eventually get everything that they have laid claim to, but at least we'll have fellowship. A land flowing with milk and honey. Where are the power and blessings of the Torah? Why aren't we seeing people healed? Why aren't we having more prominence? What is it that is wrong here? Something's wrong because the Torah doesn't seem to be working. The Torah is about the promise of the inheritance. In the pages of the Torah, the people yet receive the inheritance. It doesn't describe how that's taking place after the Torah is completed. The Torah has got to do its work. It's got to reveal the sin in us. The Torah has to perfect us and guide us through this wilderness that we are now entered into, to bring us to the place of the border of the promised land and our inheritance. And then Mashiach will come and take us in. Do not accuse the Torah to make yourself feel better. So Moshe says, tell you what, guys, all 250 of you, get your fire pans, put ketoret in it, this incense, and come stand before the door to the tent of meeting. Qorach, you and Aaron, you join them. Let's see who Yah accepts. 252 men then stand before the tent of meeting at its door, waving their fire pans and offering up incense to Yah. Moshe runs to the camp at the word of Yah, having interceded one more time because Yah was ready to kill the lot of them. Father, not everybody's guilty here. Don't destroy the nation. Don't do this, Yah. And he runs to the tents of Dathan and Abiram and Qorach and warns everybody, get away from this place. It's amazing that when judgment comes that you find out who your real allies are. Moshe says that if they die like every other man, I'm not Yah's servant. But if the earth opens up and swallows them, then you know that Yah has done this. And he no more than said it, and then the earth opened up, swallowed the families along with these failed leaders, and then covers over the top of them. The Bible says that they went into Sheol. The people panicked. Rightly they should. The same moment, fire shoots out of the Mishkan and devours 251 men, and Aaron alone is left standing there, waving the fire pan. My friend, days of judgment are coming. Yah will determine who belongs to him and who does not. Be careful what you set your mouth to. Be careful who you accuse and slander. Yah is about to reveal those that belong to him. More tomorrow, and until then, shalom.